بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تمدن عينيك إلى ما متعنا به أزواجا منهم زهرة الحياة الدنيا لنفتنهم فيه ورزق ربك خير وأبقى. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Throughout these past few years, I have been traveling to many communities and meeting many youth and corresponding with many of the youth, either through the internet or in person. And one thing that I have discovered is that many of the youth today have a fear of marriage. There is a fear in their hearts, and many of them are nervous, many are unprepared, and many are afraid of crossing and moving forward with their life and getting married. And this is a reality, because with the current trends that we are seeing, with the current statistics that we see, with the divorce rates, it is something to be afraid of. And many are afraid when they see many of their friends, when they see many of the ones that got married a few months, a few years before them, and their marriage is in jeopardy. They say that maybe I'm not ready to get married. Maybe it's not time. And many of them are putting back and holding back on getting married. And many are not ready to commit, because marriage is a commitment. And it's a decision that you make right now when you're young, and you're going to have to deal with it for the rest of your life. This is a commitment that you make. And it's probably one of the greatest decisions that you make in your life. Because you may make a decision, a business decision, something, maybe the effects of that decision will last for a few years, a few months. A business deal, you buy a car, later on after a few years you don't want the car, you sell it. But can anyone go and sell their wives? No. So this is a commitment that you make and you have to deal with. The girl makes a commitment to be with the husband, and the husband makes a commitment to be with the wife. And this is why there are many that have many questions. Financially, they're not ready. They're not ready to commit. They're not ready to support another person. Some, they say, I can't even support myself. And you're now expecting me to support another person? And today we see the marriages, they are falling apart. A lot of marriages, many marriages are falling apart, either because of they're not ready to commit, lying, cheating, fooling one another, and many other reasons that we have heard and we have seen other people bring about. However, I believe that the main reason for divorce, there are many reasons for divorce. However, I believe that the main reason for divorce is that the ones that got married, they got married for the wrong reason. the problems in a marriage, they don't arise after the marriage. They don't arise after the wedding. Many of the problems, of the major problems, they arise before the wedding. And this is our outlook and how we perceive this marriage. How do I think of the marriage? What do I look for when I'm getting married? This is because the prerequisites of marriage are not met. The problems of marriage are because the prerequisites, what we must do to prepare ourselves for marriage, what the youth must do, these things are not met. Today, many of the youth, they ask themselves, am I ready? And many of them are not ready. Many of them are not ready to commit to one person for their whole life. Many of the youth, they would rather live the bachelor lifestyle. They would rather be free. Many don't want the responsibilities. They would rather have a bachelor lifestyle than a family-oriented lifestyle. So the main reason for divorce today is that many are not ready to commit to a marriage. Many are not ready to take on the responsibilities, because if someone is committed to a marriage, they will fulfill all of their responsibilities. But if they're not fulfilling their responsibilities, that means they are not ready to commit. Marriage, it's like signing a deal. Signing a deal. When you sign a contract, that means you take the responsibility. You carry on your shoulders a burden, half the responsibility. Have you seen someone sign a deal and they're not ready to take the responsibility? Yes, we see these people every day, the ones that get married. Many of them don't even know what their responsibilities are. They get married without knowing what their requirements are, what they have to do. Or many, they sign the deal and they get married for the wrong reason. There are many wrong reasons that people get married for. And this is the reason why there is divorce. Because the marriage was because of the wrong reason. Usually speakers, they come up here and they tell the listeners on the reasons to get married and why the youth should get married. Today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to tell you the reasons not to get married. Why should we not get married? And what reasons should we not get married for? Because the problem is, many don't know what they should not do. We all know it's mustahab to get married. We all know the good things and the pros about marriage. But many, they still go and do the bad. So what is the reason that one should not get married? What should we not look for when we are getting married? Because there are many bad reasons that some get married. And these reasons lead to a bad marriage, which lead to a bad family. So, the first reason, do not get married if you're going to think it's a game, if you're not going to take it seriously. If it's not going to be taken seriously, then this should be delayed. Yes, marriage is mustahab, marriage is recommended, but it's also haram to oppress another person. It's also haram to get other people involved, get other family members, get the girl involved, get the guy involved, and eventually it leads to their oppression. Because one person in this relationship is not ready to commit. One person is not ready to fulfill their responsibilities and their duties. Marriage must be taken seriously. And marriage, when we do the aqd, when we do the marriage contract, this is a contract. Just like a contract any other contract that you do. But this contract, it's brought together. This marriage is bound together by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are three parties in a marriage. There's the husband, and there's the wife, and there's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has brought this couple together. And if it was not for Allah, it would not be a marriage. It would be something else. You call it something else. But because Allah has come in between and Allah has made them halal upon one another, so Allah is the third party. Allah is the one that is watching. Allah is the one that sets the rules. Allah is the one that sets the conditions and the responsibilities of the spouses towards one another. So if Allah is in this, it must be taken seriously, and it cannot be taken as a joke. Because if there is oppression, if there is something wrong, When you sign a deal with a company, when you sign a deal with a business, if you do something wrong, what are they going to do? They're going to take you to prison. They're going to sue you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also has ways of punishment. There are many people, they say, yes, it's okay. Do not oppress anyone, but it's okay to oppress the wife. Or do not oppress anyone, but it's okay to oppress the husband. Because there's no one watching this. In fact, there is someone watching, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Marriage must be taken seriously. And the reasons for the marriage must be serious reasons. Otherwise, anyone can get married. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to get married. Anyone that is capable can get married. But how many people can fulfill their responsibilities? Every day we see one of the stars, one of the actors, one of the actresses, they get married, and then a few days later, a few weeks later, we see that they got divorced. Yes, anyone can get married, but how many can hold on to the marriage? How many can preserve this marriage? And how many can protect this marriage? And this is why it's highly important to have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah is the one that will bring seriousness in this marriage. Allah is the one that will protect this marriage. There are many people, they're not ready to commit. Many people, they're not ready to get into a relationship. They're afraid. And yes, it's okay to be afraid. But when we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, Allah is the one that places the love in a marriage. Allah is the one that places the compassion in a marriage. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. From the signs of Allah, He created spouses for one another. This is a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And Allah has placed that mawaddah, that love in the marriage. And the rahmah, the mercy, Allah has placed it in the marriage. And this is why it's highly important to marry someone who has faith. Because someone that has faith, this person, if he falls out of love, if she falls out of love, they're not going to oppress their partner. They're not going to hurt their partner. Why? Because they know Allah is there. They know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, and this is how, when we know Allah is there, when we know Allah is watching, it makes our actions and the way we deal with one another different. If I constantly know Allah is watching me and Allah has created guidelines, I'm not going to oppress the other person. And sometimes the easiest person to oppress in our life is our partner. The easiest person to oppress is the husband and the wife. This is where most of the oppression takes place. You don't need to be Saddam Hussein to be an oppressor. You don't need to be a tyrant to be an oppressor. Sometimes all you have to be is be a husband or a father or a wife. And you can oppress other people. Because now other people are under your control. Now you are making decisions on behalf of other people. And this leads to oppression. The second point, do not get married ignorantly. Do not get married without seeking knowledge. And this is also something very important. Maybe many years ago, they used to say, just go ahead and get married and everything will come in its place. But right now, we're living in a different society. Right now, we're living in a different time. You must equip yourself with knowledge. You must know how to deal with situations. You must know what kind of a person you're getting married to. Because you are signing a contract when you get married. And when you sign a contract, a wise person, before they sign a contract, they take a magnifying glass and they begin reading the contract. They begin reading between the lines. Why? Because we have to know what our duties are. We have to know what our responsibilities are. We see many, before the wedding, they go and they spend thousands of dollars. They spend so much money on the dress, on the shoes, on the cake, and everything. They spend so much money and invest money and time in. But how many actually go and pick up a book and read what are the responsibilities of the husband and the wife? What are the responsibilities in a marriage? We spend so much time and energy doing other things. How much time and energy have we spent knowing what our responsibilities are in a marriage? A second point, knowing who you are marrying. What kind of a person you are marrying. This is a very serious issue. And you see that some of the major forbidden rules, some of the major forbidden things in Islam, one of them is ghiba, backbiting. Backbiting, it becomes halal when you are searching for a spouse. How? When someone comes and asks me, what do you think of this person? It's my religious duty to tell this person the truth. I cannot cover up. I have to say the truth. This is because there is something more important than ghiba right now, and that is preserving a family and starting a family. So if someone comes and asks you, what do you think of this person? I want to ask you as a mu'min, as a believer, you have to say the truth. You have to say the truth. This is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the couples, wants the husband and the future wife to know what they're getting themselves into. What kind of a person this is. Go and do research. Go and ask. Go and see what kind of a person this is. This is how you seek knowledge. This is how you know what kind of a person. So that later on, once you get married, this is probably the number one excuse that many bring. They say, I did not know he used to do this. I did not know this. Why didn't you go and find out? Why didn't you go and search and find out and see what kind of a person and what kind of a person you're committing your whole life to? A third very important point is that we should not marry someone. Do not marry someone before marriage. Get that idea out of your mind. Do not marry someone that disobeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't marry a fasiq. Now, of course, someone can say everyone disobeys Allah. None of us are infallible. But there's a difference. One person disobeys Allah in private. One person disobeys Allah without doing it publicly, without announcing to the whole world. And there's another person that is not ashamed of their sin. There's another person that does not care about their sin, and they are willing to go out right in front of the people and disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person is willing to break the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this person is definitely going to break the boundaries of marriage. If a person does not respect Allah, how do you expect this person to respect you? Allah has greater favors upon this person than you do. Allah has greater favors upon the wife than the husband, or the husband than the wife. So this is why it's very important not to look for a fasiq. Do not marry someone that sins, someone that disobeys Allah. Do not marry someone that does not pray. Do not marry someone that is a liar, because a liar is going to be a cheater. A person that lies, this person, you cannot trust this person. A liar cannot be trusted. And you see that most of the problems within a marriage and most of the reasons of divorce, one of the major reasons of divorce today is that there's lying within the marriage. Within that circle of trust, within that family, you see one lies to the other. They're constantly lying to one another. Some lies, they last for years. Years pass and this person is lying to his wife, or she is lying to her husband. But every lie will be exposed one day or another. Every single lie will be exposed. So this is why it's very important to marry someone who is truthful. Marry someone who has iman. Marry someone who has akhlaq. And someone that has manners is not going to be a liar. Someone that has faith is not going to be a liar. Because this person knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching him. Lying, it's the door and the key to every single sin. One day a man came to Amir al-Mu'mineen and he told him, I am going to take one advice from you. This person, he was a person that did not really care about the religion. He wasn't very religious. He told Amir al-Mu'mineen, I'm going to take only one advice from you. I can't come and you tell me do this, do that, and all these things that you want to mention. Tell me one thing. Amir al-Mu'mineen tells him, okay, do not lie. Do not ever lie. The man said, that's it? Don't lie? Okay. He goes home, he wants to drink. Then he realizes he's going to have to lie about it. When he goes to the masjid, or when he was not able to go to the masjid, they tell him, where were you? What happened? His wife asked him a question. He's going to have to lie. So he says, I'm not going to do this. And then a few moments later, he wants to do something else. He realizes that if he covers it up, he's going to have to lie about it. He's going to have to keep lying. Eventually, he comes to the Imam and he tells him, you closed all of the doors of sin in my face. Yes, because of lying. So someone that lies, you can never trust this person. You can never know what this person is going to do. Don't marry a person that drinks. The hadith says that من زوج كريمته من شارب خمر فقد قادها إلى الزنا. He who gives his daughter to someone that drinks, this person has brought his daughter to commit adultery. He is the one who brought his daughter to commit adultery. In another hadith, من زوج ابنته من فاسق نزلت عليه في كل يوم ألف لعنة. He who gives his daughter to a fasiq, he gives her to a person who does not care about the boundaries of Allah and the boundaries of religion. This person is cursed every day 1,000 times by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, disobeying Allah, it's not only something that we see the effects and the aftermath and the afterlife. When someone disobeys Allah, the blessings and the barakah in this life will be closed. One that disobeys Allah, there will be no blessing in this person's life. This person may be a millionaire, but there's no value in this money. This person may have everything, but there's no value, there's no happiness in what this person has. Because this person is living a life that he is lying to himself and he is lying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And unfortunately, we see many marriages, they start falling apart and they start shattering from day one. What day is that? From the wedding. How many times, how many couples, how many mu'mineen, how many believers do we see in the masjid? They're believers. Wherever they go, you see them, they're mu'mineen. But as soon as it becomes time for a wedding, you see that they took off the libas al-iman, they took off the clothes of iman, they hung it in the closet and they put something else on. It becomes a completely different person. A complete different person. As if this person was not at the masjid a few days ago. They begin sinning and disobeying Allah. Why? Because it's a marriage, it's a wedding, we have to go. Or else we will be left out. And this is one of the diseases of our communities. Many communities, they have this problem. When it comes time for a wedding, you see that this person forgets Allah, forgets iman, forgets hijab. Hijab is very important. Hijab protects society. Hijab protects yourself, it protects the iman. But you see that it's completely forgotten. And this is how a marriage will lose its barakah. It will lose its blessings. When it's starting, the first day, you're starting a foundation. You're starting an institution. You're starting a family. You want the blessings of Allah, but it starts off with a beginning that is disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another very important point, do not marry purely for the looks and materialistic desires. Now, it's not haram to want to find someone that is looking good, someone that is handsome, a girl that's pretty. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't let that be your number one priority. Don't let that be your number one reason. Because there are more important things in life. Looks, they come and they go. How many people do you know that they remain beautiful until the day they die? There's only a few people. Inshallah, I'm one of them. So don't go for looks. This is something that it will cause problems later on in marriage. If some people, they're completely blinded. They don't look at anything else. They don't focus on anything. Yes, she's very pretty, she's very beautiful, and this is all that they are focusing on. Today, looks is not something very hard to get. Having looks is something not very difficult. Today, all you need is a few $1,000s, and you need to know a good doctor, and you will have the looks. But a beautiful heart, a beautiful iman, a beautiful soul is something that is very hard to achieve. And this is why there are many problems in society today. Because you find the apparent look, the outer looks, they are there. There are many beautiful people out there. But how many beautiful souls are there? How many souls are beautiful? And the love is connecting to the heart. It's not connecting to the physical appearance. Don't go for the materialistic desires. Some people, they marry for the money, for the wealth. Some people, they marry for a tax write-off. This is their number one reason. There must be, if someone's marrying purely for the wealth and the materialistic desires, what are you going to do the day this goes away? How can I promise that I'm going to be rich for the rest of my life? How can I promise that the person I'm looking for is going to be rich for the rest of their lives? This is something that will fade away. And if you're marrying someone, or if someone's marrying you because of your money, because of your wealth, then know that this person does not love you for who you are. This person loves you for your wealth, for your money. So it's very important to fall in love with the character, to fall in love with the personality, and not fall in love with the money and the wealth and the materialistic lifestyle. Because not everyone can promise that they're going to be rich for the rest of their life. Not everyone can promise to have stability for the rest of their life. A prosperous marriage starts with simplicity, a simple lifestyle. Look at the marriage of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima al-Zahra. The most fruitful marriage in history. The dowry of Fatima al-Zahra was 500 dirhams. 500 dirhams, something very minimum at that time. But look at the blessings in that marriage. Look at the fruits of that marriage. Until today, you see the children of Fatima al-Zahra and Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is a fruitful marriage. Fatima al-Zahra on her wedding night, she gave away her wedding dress. Because a lady knocks on the door and she says, I need clothes. She has two outfits, a new one and an old one. She gives the new one. Rasulullah asks her, what did you do? She tells him, I like that dress. That dress that I gave away, I liked it. And Allah says in the Quran, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will not achieve righteousness until you give from what you like. And I like that dress. Fatima al-Zahra, she liked the dress. Some people, they say, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Fatima al-Zahra, they were zahid. No, they were zahid. But being zahid is giving away what you like. Someone that is zahid, that does not mean that they don't like the material lifestyle. They probably do like the material lifestyle, but they're not attached to it. They don't let it be the main decision maker in their life. But you see some people, the main reason for any decision they make in their life, am I going to get this job? Am I going to do this? Am I going to marry this person? Am I going to do that? The main reason is money, money, money. And it destroys their life. People, they want money so that they can live a happy lifestyle. But we see that money is destroying many lives today. It's being the reason that many lives are destroyed. Because people are too greedy. People are too caught up with the money and this materialistic lifestyle, and they forget what's important in life. They forget their family, they forget their children, they forget their iman and their masjid and the religious practices and their spirituality. So this is why it's very important to not fall in this materialistic lifestyle. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ أَزْوَاجًا مِّنْهُمْ زَهْرَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا لِنَفْتِنَهُمْ فِيهِ. Allah says, do not stretch your eyes to what other people have. وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ أَزْوَاجًا مِّنْهُمْ. And this is the main reason of problems within a family. The wife comes and she says, but they have this kind of a car, we need to get it too. They have this in their house, we need to also get it too. And of course, some husbands, they do that as well. Allah says, وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنَيْكَ إِلَى مَا مَتَّعْنَا بِهِ أَزْوَاجًا مِّنْهُمْ زَهْرَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا لِنَفْتِنَهُمْ فِيهِ. We are testing them with what they have. Your neighbors, they have something. You want that? You're going to add another test to your life. How many tests, how many things do I want Allah to test me with in this life? A beautiful saying, it says, Najal mukhifun. On the day of judgment, one of the first people that will enter paradise are the poor people. Why? Because they don't have anything to be held accountable for. But if I have so much, Allah is going to hold me accountable for every single dollar that I have in my bank account. But if I don't have much in my bank account, there's not that many things that Allah is going to hold me accountable for. Najal mukhifun. The ones who are khafif in this life, the ones who are light in this life, they are the ones that are going to be saved. This happened to Salman al-Farisi. Salman, when he went to Madain, he went there, he did not have anything. He walked into Madain carrying a small bag, and this is all he owned in this life. People were expecting the governor, Salman, to come. They thought he was going to come with an entourage. They saw that he walks alone on a donkey. So they asked him, do you know where Salman is? He says, if you're looking for Salman, I'm Salman. They say that one day there was a flood. There was a flood in Madain where he was. Everyone, they were panicking, and their houses were flooded, and they didn't know what to take with them. Salman, all he did was take that bag that he brought with, and he went on a mountain. Najal mukhifun. The ones who have light, who carry light in this life, they will have a very easy time trespassing and falling and going over the sirat. The fifth point, a very important point, and this is, do not marry without your parents' satisfaction. This is something that many are tested with. Many that when they're ready to get married, they are tested with this. And you see many struggle. Their parents, they say something, and they say something else. But do not marry without your parents' satisfaction. Look at the Quran. How many times does Allah speak about the satisfaction of the parents in the Quran? Allah says, Tawheed, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَن لَا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah says, Allah has decreed that you do not worship anyone other than Him, and with your parents have ihsan. The second most important thing that Allah mentions, first is Tawheed, and second is being kind to your parents. Ihsan with your parents. But you see many, when it comes time for marriage, they're willing to throw their mom under the bus. They're ready to ignore their parents and their mom and their dad and the whole family just because they fell in love with whoever they fell in love with. And they're willing to hurt their parents. We have to respect our parents. Yes, sometimes some parents, they have some unreasonable excuses. If the reason of the parents is unreasonable and doesn't make sense, and many people tell you it doesn't make sense, then yes, you are allowed to choose who you want to get married to. The parents, they do not have the right to choose who their children marry. But the parents, their job is to admonish. And the children, the ones who are getting married, their job is to respect their parents, to listen to their parents. Do not oppress their parents. Do not hurt their parents. Yes, you may think that you found the right person, but if your parents are telling you don't do it, you will receive great reward if you listen to your parents. There's plenty of others that you will find. But how many parents do you have? How many mothers do you have? How many fathers do you have? There's plenty of others that you will find, and you will get married, and your parents will be satisfied with you. Believe me, getting married without the approval of the parents is not going to be a prosperous marriage. It's not going to be a happy marriage. Because you are getting married, you're starting a family, and your parents are not happy with you. And Allah wants us to satisfy our parents. The parents, they are the ones that raised you. They are the ones that took care of you. They are the ones that had sleepless nights because of you. And the whole time in their minds is that this person, one day, we will see him grow up. We will see his children. We will see him get married. We will see her have grandchildren. Don't let something that they were looking forward to their whole life be something that you disobeyed them and did not listen to them. Life is not worth it. It's not worth disobeying your parents and hurting your parents. Make sure you have your parents' satisfaction. There was a guy, he fell in love with the daughter of the king. So they told him, "You're dreaming. You fell in love with the daughter of the king?" He said, "Yes, because I'm halfway there. I am satisfied. My mom and my dad are satisfied. Now her and her mom and her dad have to be satisfied." He had his parents' satisfaction. Of course, this is a joke, but there's another story that I will mention in a few minutes, and that is, this is a true story. This took place in Khurasan, in Mashhad. Today, if you look at a picture of the shrine of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, you see there's a blue dome right by the dome of Imam al-Rida. This is a masjid in the shrine of Imam al-Rida by the name of Masjid Gawhar Shad. This is a very big masjid. And this masjid was built 200 years ago. And it has a history. There was the princess, the daughter of the king. She decided to build this masjid next to the haram, next to the shrine of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam. And this, it has to do with falling in love and marriage at first sight. Love at first sight. And this is also something that is not realistic. Because when you see someone and you fall in love at first sight, that means this is lust. Because marriage, it develops. Marriage is not something, love, it develops. Love is not something that just happens immediately. And Allah says that love comes after marriage, after you get to know one another, once the hearts are attached. But when you just see someone and you think you fell in love with this person, this is not love, this is lust. This is lust. So the princess, she decides to build a masjid. She's building the masjid, and they spend a lot of money on this masjid, and it's a huge masjid. Until today, there are people that pray in it. So before the masjid was complete, she said, "I want to be the first person that prays in this masjid. And since I'm the princess, I want everyone, all of the workers, everyone to go and let them make it private so that I can go and pray in this masjid. Pray to my Lord. I built this masjid for Allah, and I want to be the first one to pray in this masjid." So these were the orders of the princess. So they announced that on this day, no one is allowed to be on this premises. No, everyone should go to their homes. The workers don't come. Everyone must disappear so that the princess comes and prays. So everyone left. Everyone went to do their own thing. There was one worker. He was a poor young worker. He said, "I'm building the mosque. I'm a part of the workers that are building this masjid for the princess. Why is it that I cannot see the face of the princess? I'm going to hide in the masjid so that when she comes and prays, I'm going to see her." So he hid in the masjid in one of the corners. It's a very big masjid. He hid there, and the princess, she walked in. She walked in and she began praying. And this young man, as soon as he saw her, he fell in love with her. He fell in love with her. She finished. She goes home, and he also goes home. But he goes home, he's in love. He can't eat. He can't sleep. He can't live his life. And I see some of the guys nodding their heads. They know how it feels. His mother, she comes to him and she tells him, What's wrong with you? You have become a different person. He tells her, no, mother, leave me alone. I can't talk about this. She keeps insisting. She sees that this person is going to, he's suffering. She tells him, what's wrong? Tell me. He tells her the story. He says, I went in the masjid, I hid, and I saw the princess. And I fell in love with her. And I want to marry the princess. She tells him, you left all of the girls in the city and you want to marry the princess? You've made my job very difficult. But she's a mother. After a few hours or after a few days of insisting, she says, okay, I'm going to go and propose. And this is the mother. This is why your mother is your mother, because she's willing to do anything for you. She goes, and the king at that time, he used to have one day out of the week, he used to have the people, they come and they line up, and everyone, they talk to him and they ask him for something. So she goes and she stands in this long line to speak to the king so that she can ask him to marry his daughter for her son. Once she arrives, he tells her, what do you need? She says, I came here to propose to your daughter for my son. Once she arrives, he tells her, what do you need? She says, I came here to propose to your daughter for my son. So he's a worker in the masjid. And that was probably the lowest class in that society. So the king was very wise. The king, he tells her, okay, I have agreed. I have accepted under one condition. That condition is that your son has to pray Salatul Layl for 40 nights. 40 nights, if he prays Salatul Layl, once he finishes, he can come and take my daughter, the princess. She says, that's it? Tells her, that's it. She goes home, she's happy, she's, very excited, and she tells him the king accepted. Under one condition, one very simple condition. That is that you have to pray Salatul Layl every night, the midnight prayer, Tahajjud. He tells her that's all? He does not want money, he does not want anything else? He says, no, he does not need anything else from you. The young man, that night, he was ready to get up for Salatul Layl, and he got up. But it was very difficult for him to get up in the middle of the night. And he's a worker. He's working all day, and now he has to get up in the middle of the night, wash his face, cold water, and pray. He did it one night. It was very difficult. The second night, it's difficult. Then he started doing it the 10th night. Then the 20th night, it started becoming easier and easier. Eventually, he did not need anyone to wake him up. He began to wake up by himself. And the 30th night, he gets up and he's praying, and his prayer becomes longer and longer. Eventually, the 40th night passes, and he's praying, and he is in love with this prayer, with Salatul Layl. The 40th night passes. The day 41, his mother, she comes and she tells him, let's go to the king. He tells her, I don't want to go right now. And he continues praying every night, Salatul Layl. Eventually, the king, after a while, he sent the guards to bring this person. They bring him, the king tells him, you came and you proposed to my daughter, what happened? It's been 40 days and you did not come. The young man, he tells the king, he tells him, the day I saw your daughter, my heart was empty. Now, I've been praying Salatul Layl, my heart is full of love. And that love is a greater love. Love that nothing and no one can fill that love. And that is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I don't want to marry your daughter. I have something greater in my life. And that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I don't need your daughter, even if she's the princess. Even if she is powerful and she's rich. And this shows how you can live a very happy lifestyle without having anything. But all you need is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the number one prerequisite for a happy marriage. Have Allah in your heart and everything will work out. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alayhi. Now we go to the Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam, who left this whole world for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you understand, when you're able to understand and comprehend the love of Allah, you're willing to leave everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not going to go after a materialistic lifestyle. You're not going to focus on things that fade away, and you're going to look at the more important things in life. And this is why we see the Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam, they were in love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And their love towards one another was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amir al-Mu'mineen, his love for Fatima was eternal. And his love for Fatima did not fade away. When he buries her, he says, my sadness, inna huzni alayki sarmada, my sadness for you is eternal. It will never fade away. It will never go away. The narration says that 30 years after the death of Fatima al-Zahra, in the battle of Siffin, Amir al-Mu'mineen, that day his beard has turned gray. And he is with Ammar. He is with Ammar ibn Yasir. Ammar is placing henna on his beard. He's dyeing his beard. Ammar was also aged at that time because he was young at the early stages of Islam, the early years of Islam. Ammar is dyeing his beard. He tells Amir al-Mu'mineen, why don't you also dye your beard? Amir al-Mu'mineen tells him, no, I can't. I don't want to. He tells him, why? He tells him, Ana fi huzun, I'm in mourning. He tells him, who are you mourning? He tells him, Huzni ala Zahra, I'm mourning Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he mourns Fatima al-Zahra many years after her death, after her passing. This is loyalty. This is true love. The love of Amir al-Mu'mineen towards Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, she was in the heart of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He would cry when he remembers Fatima al-Zahra. The Imams would cry when they remember the broken rib of Fatima al-Zahra. They would cry when they remember that Fatima was buried at night. They would cry when they remember that only 7 men participated in the funeral of Fatima al-Zahra. However, there is one person that they cried for that broke their hearts even more than Fatima al-Zahra, and that was the son of Fatima, Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. Because if Fatima al-Zahra had one broken rib, Imam al-Husayn, his rib cage, all of his chest was broken and trampled by the horses. If Fatima al-Zahra was buried by 7 men, Imam al-Husayn was left for 3 days on the land of Karbala. Fatima al-Zahra, she lost her son al-Muhsin. Imam al-Husayn also lost Ali al-Asghar, Abdullah al-Radi'. This is why we first give our condolences to Fatima al-Zahra for her son Imam al-Husayn, because she forgets her pain and she forgets her tragedies when she remembers Imam al-Husayn. أيا ناعيان إن جئت طيبة مقبلا. The poem says, if you go to Medina, if you go to the city of Rasulullah, go over the grave of Fatima, the one with the broken rib, and tell her of her son Hussein, and cry for Hussein next to the grave of Fatima. أفاطم لو خلت الحسين مجدلا وقد مات عطشانا بشط فراتي إذا للطمت الخد فاطم عنده. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله، يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب، ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات، تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات، إنك مجيب الدعوات، إنك غافر الخطيئات، إنك على كل شيء قدير. وصلى الله